on to that because Joy Reid, who hosts the Joy Reid Show on YouTube, joins me now. Joy Reid, welcome to Uncensored.
Piers, thank you for having me.
Well, we've never met, I don't think. We've never spoken to each other. I think we've locked horns a little bit on social media in the past. I think I'm blocked by you on X. I can't remember what crime I committed, but probably Trump-related. Just first of all, what Barack Obama has said and what Chris Cuomo said there, has that given you pause for thought about what the Democrats should now do? Because it's...
For those that don't know, I don't know what Chris said exactly, but I know Barack was saying Democrats need to toughen up and stop crying and pitying themselves and toughen up to fight Republicans in the right.
All very well just shrieking constantly about how evil Trump is, but it clearly hasn't worked now twice. You know, the fact that...
Post your TikTok and promote yourself. Post it.
The guy went away for 4 years and then came back and won again was an utter repudiation of the tactics to beat him, wasn't it?
Casey, I don't know much about
Well, first
Joy.
of all, I'll say I have not...
I know her politics. I just don't know if she's extreme or anything like that.
Twitter, because I haven't been on X Twitter since Elon Musk acquired it. I actually left the platform, so there might be someone posing as me who's blocked you. So,
but I know I'm probably going to agree with her more than Piers.
It was prior to Elon's purchase.
Oh, okay, all right. Well, so this is an interesting conversation because there is no one who is more obsessed with racial identity politics than Donald Trump. He ran the most racial identity politics laden campaign that I've seen in my lifetime, and I've been following politics since I was 12. The point of his campaign was, if I was to sum it up, that immigrants, whom he identified as gang members from Venezuela, as people from S-hole countries, as essentially any non-white migrant or immigrant in the country, were vermin who were poisoning.
Well, he was talking about criminal, illegal immigrants. He was talking. Well, hang on. He was talking.
Piers, you full of shit. He said illegals, but he really wanted to get everybody out. He didn't. He was never fully unequivocating on criminals. He integrated criminals in what he said. He mostly was just talking about people that's not from America legally. And that you can technically call them a criminal for violating the law of crossing the border illegally and undocumented. But he wasn't just solely focused on people that was doing heinous crimes. He was talking about anybody that wasn't here, that was here without papers. I understood that. Maybe I was listening with my actual ears and actual brain operating at full capacity, that I understood that he wasn't just talking about people that's killing people. The way these people rallied about what he wanted, they wanted anybody that was here they wanted anybody that was here without papers to go, whether or not you was a criminal. And that's what people heard. So you're not going to sit here and act like he was saying, oh, the criminals. Bro, nobody's fighting about getting criminals out of here. Not to say it doesn't matter, but all y'all say is Laken Riley. That is one person. And I'm not saying it doesn't matter, but we're not going to act like there's this rampant influx of illegal, undocumented people here killing people. That's not what we're going to act like.
You can't misquote him off the top. This is my point, though.
He was hurt by that. Because why you... Bro.
Let me just say something, Joy. I remember when he won in 2016. I was at the New York Knicks the next day with my eldest son. Chris Rock was there at the next table. We got talking. I said, why do you think Trump won? And he said, you know why? He said, if someone's murdered 8 people, stop going around saying he's murdered 9. And he didn't mean Trump had actually murdered anyone. What he meant was, there's plenty to criticize Trump about. I've done it myself many times. But there's also a lot of stuff that resonates with people. And I think it's the over-exaggeration, the over-demonization of Trump is part of the problem. And your characterization of his depiction of immigrants. You said the word immigrants. Actually, what he was talking about repeatedly on his stump in his rallies was specifically illegal immigrants who come in illegally, who are criminals, who are already convicted criminals, who've come into America across the southern border in huge numbers, who are criminals. He wasn't talking about non-criminal immigrants, as you tried to put it there. So there is a difference.
False. No, first of all, it's absolutely false. Let's talk about, for one example, the Haitian immigrants in Ohio. These are people who were in the country on a legitimate visa, who are actually improving that community by taking jobs desperately, where people desperately needed to hire and did not have any, enough American-born employees, and they were hiring these folks. They were taking badly needed jobs. They were improving the community economically. He accused them of eating people's cats and dogs. He characterized them as if they were animals. These are people who his own administration had allowed into the country on a legitimate visa.
But I agree with you.
First of all, I'll stop. Let me just.
But I agree with you.
So his all-encompassing term about immigrants being vermin and poisoning the blood of the country was all-encompassing because it included them. And in his mind, it included anyone who he said came from an S-hole country, meaning if you came from Nigeria, if you came from the Gabon, if you came from any country in Africa. He in a blanketed way depicted immigrants again with Nazi terminology, vermin.
Well, let's leave Nazis out of it. You know what? Whenever people,
and wait, let me finish
but Joy, whenever it's taking you what? It's taking you 4 minutes, and you've called him a Nazi already. Come on.
See, this motherfucker's full of shit because I heard him say the word Nazi. He said she said Nazi terminology or whatever, and he's like, it took you 4 minutes and you already called him a Nazi. She didn't call him a Nazi. She did not call him a Nazi. And now he's trying to cut her off. She did not call him a Nazi. It is so different to say you're using Nazi terminology to saying he's a Nazi. And Joy, that wasn't on accident. She knows what she's saying. That wasn't by accident. And right, Allie, it's fucking true. It's true. It is Nazi terminology. That's where we can trace that language back to, bro. And you're ignoring that context.
But and now what we're seeing are masked federal agents sweeping up cooks, abuelas, people who work on farms, picking up dishwashers, any brown.
And right. JD Vance is the only person of status and power that has called him an outright Hitler. They keep trying to say the left is calling him Hitler. Now, I'm not saying nobody on the left has called him Hitler, but I don't know of any like lawmaker or politician that has called him Hitler. If I'm wrong, I will stand corrected. I can't think of anybody that's called him this is Hitler besides JD Vance.
Person, and Tom Homan said, based on one criteria being their appearance, it's overwhelmingly brown and some black people. We're not seeing them sweeping up white folks on the street.
I've heard that Joy is extreme. I've heard that Joy can go too far with her point of view. That's why I'm not finna act like I know Joy's rhetoric. I really don't. I just know of her. I don't know what she says.
Racial identity campaign. And yeah, this is America. That is appealing to, unfortunately, a lot of Americans.
Well, actually, it turned out to be very appealing to Latino Americans who voted for him in record numbers.
Shut up.
More Latino.
Why is he acting like because Latinos voted for him, therefore he's correct? Half of America voted for stupidity. So just pointing out the Latinos that voted for him more don't really do shit. I don't really care. A lot of people voted because they were misinformed. And I stand by that. I think half of America is misinformed and ignorant. I stand by that. I will argue that to the death. I don't care. I will argue that to no ends that half of the country, half of the voting block was missing. Well, I can't even say that because if you didn't vote because you knew that Kamala is not perfect and Trump is not good and you just sat back, I think that's problematic too. So if you knew and just chose to not vote, I blame you too. So half the country, if not more than half, all of the people that lean left that didn't vote, I blame all y'all for being ignorant.
Latinos voted for him than voted for Kamala Harris, the non-white candidate.
I understand that you may want to disengage in politics because Trump has made it super overwhelming to even engage in it. And then if you weren't enthused by Kamala, which is fair, but she was dealt a terrible hand, it's fair that you weren't enthused by Kamala. But to sit back and not do shit is only to your detriment in this circumstance in particular. Because if you paid any attention and you chose to not engage, you're complicit.
More Black Americans, African Americans voted for Trump this time round than first time round. So for
this, statistically, it was the same. The same number of Black Republicans voted for him. That
more Black Americans voted for Trump this time than last time.
It was the same. And by the way, this is the other challenge. There is a phenomenon, and my family are immigrants. And there is a phenomenon among immigrants of slamming the door behind themselves. And and by the way, more Latinas, women in the Latino community voted for Harris. But there is a phenomenon. If you talk to people who actually are in the community and study this and spend a lot of time on it, journalists who studied it, there are a lot of Latinos who want so badly to identify with Americanness that they identify against fellow immigrants. That is not a new thing.
No, but maybe they weren't identifying. Maybe they weren't identifying. But Joy,
that's not new.
Maybe they were just
blackness. And racism
let me respond to
the
that.
Latino community is not new. It's
let me respond to that.
Exists.
Maybe they were just sick and tired of people like you, and I say this respectfully, but people like you constantly calling Trump a Nazi. Maybe they thought it was
pull up Joy calling him a Nazi. I don't know if she did or didn't, but don't just say that.
Ridiculous.
Maybe don't call people vermin and say they're poisoning the blood of our country. That's not terminology. Don't use it.
You have repeatedly over the last few years called Trump a Nazi. Now the Nazis were the
Did you do that, Joy?
most despicable, awful human beings we've seen in 1,000 years. They murdered 12 million people.
Now I'm getting this. I'm gonna be honest. I got this from Destiny, which I thought about, which is a valid argument. He was like, why do people pretend like the only thing that the Nazis and Hitler did was the Holocaust? That was it. They like, that's where it starts and stops. They'd be like, the Holocaust. And I was like, that's true. Like, the Holocaust wasn't day one of what the Nazis did. It was not the first day and the last day of everything that they did was kill all those people. Like, there was steps to this process. And to just shy away from the beginning of it is disingenuous to what we're experiencing. Because Hitler didn't come out day one and say, like, yeah, put all these people in the ovens. That's not what happened. You know, like, he had to galvanize. He had to make people feel something that was untrue. And I feel like that's what happened. All this scapegoating of undocumented immigrants as acting like they're causing everything that's wrong with you in life is just untrue and dangerous, because that's exactly why we end up with people getting deported that shouldn't be, people getting sent to countries even if you should be deported, sent to countries you have no affiliations to, because deportation should not be a punishment, just a result. Apparently you got 15-year-olds sent to alligator Alcatraz. You know what I'm saying? You got people, you're violating American citizens' rights. All of this is happening because you're trying to, my thought process, my guess is you're trying to pretend like you're getting rid of the immigration problem or the undocumented immigrant problem. And you're trying to match numbers that Biden and Barack had, but all they did was a lot of that shit was turning people away at the border. But you don't want to do that. You want to make it look like you want America to be white. I don't even know if Trump is smart enough to realize that a lot of this is about the great replacement theory that a lot of white people don't. They're saying that America is a very non-homogeneous country. They want America to be white, and it's just not what America is or should be necessarily. And they don't like it. So they want to get rid of it. They're not rounding up people that's white to get them out of here. They're not. It's easy to catch celebrities. They caught the old girl from American Pie that overstayed her visa and sent her back. That's easy. That's easy to catch. So they're not rounding up white people on the streets. They're violating people's rights on the streets, but it's not going to be white people.
6 million Jews in the Holocaust. Trump is not a Nazi. So when you do that, you fall in. Let me finish.
Yeah, the Stephen Colbert shit is crazy too. That's fucking crazy. A show's getting canceled that Trump is suing. Coinkydink, I think not.
He's done what you normally do. I have said he uses Nazi terminology, and that's a fact.
Right.
Saying people are poisoning the blood of our country, that is Nazi talk. That is what I've said about Trump. I will stand by it, because if you're calling people vermin and saying that they're poisoning the blood of our country, you are lifting language out of the Nazi playbook. That is very different from saying that Donald Trump is perpetrating a Holocaust such as in the 1930s. But what he is doing is straight fascism. That's not me saying it. Mark Milley, his former Joint Chiefs of Staff chair, said that he is a fascist to the core. His former chief of staff says he's a fascist, and the things he's doing, masked men snatching people off the street, not even showing any identification as law enforcement.
Let me ask you a question.
Men dragging women,
Let me ask you a question.
children into vans, fascism.
You've made this point.
Up. I will stand by that any day.
Let me ask you a question about immigration. It's a very interesting topic at the moment, as you rightly observe. What are the fruit you eat?
Piers getting too much money
To stay healthy, it's actually making
you
fat.
If you're interested in MCT oil, scan that QR code. That's all that matters at the end of the day. Look it up. Piers, you getting a lot of money out here. I'm sorry, it's late. I appreciate you giving me this content, Piers Morgan. I'm leaving your QR code for people to scan if they're interested in any MCT oil by Dr. Gundry. Visit thehealthyfat.com/Morgan. But, sir,
A problem with the it's the United States, but for what it's worth, at .com/Morgan to find out how. So my view, for what it's worth, as somebody who is an exceptional alien, is how it's described on my visa to the United States, but I have a home in Los Angeles.
Exactly,
I love America.
Albert, yes.
I've lived and worked there for 20 years. My view is that most Americans, I think instinctively, do not have a problem with the principle of deporting undocumented workers who commit crimes in the United States. Would you have a problem with that as a policy?
As a policy, if people get a hearing and they go through a process, sure. But
Okay.
that is not what's happening.
No, I'm going to come to the next bit.
Hold on, that is not what's
Joy,
happening.
I'm going to finish my point.
Not
I wanted to
No.
see what you were prepared to agree with me about, because I think it's healthy to the debate, right? So we both agree about
Piers always cuts people off when they knows he's not going to win the argument at hand.
that, which is good. Now, I don't think that they should have pressed the button on deporting as many illegal immigrants who are there undocumented, but who've not committed crimes in the way that they're currently doing. That they should have sorted, first of all, people who are in the country illegally who commit crimes and deported them. Everyone would agree with it. But I agree with you. The wholesale pulling of people off the street who may have been in America for many years, got families in America who pay taxes in America. You only have to talk to farmers to understand the devastating impact this may have. So on that, I would agree with you. But I also think that, and I hope you would agree, that Donald Trump has pretty much stopped completely the number of people coming over the southern border illegally. And under Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, over a 4-year period, as many as 10 million people are believed to have come over the southern border illegally. Now, you must surely think that the Trump way of securing the southern border is better for the United States than the Biden way.
First of all, if those are Donald Trump's numbers about how many people came in over the southern border, I don't buy them at all.
What numbers do you buy?
Anything Donald Trump said.
What numbers do you buy?
And let me go on.
Well, how many do you think it was?
Let's just say it was.
Well, Joy, how many do you think it was?
No, let's just say I'm going to stipulate to you. Let's just say it was 10 million people. Are you asking your viewers to believe that 10 million people were in the country raping and robbing rather than working on farms, working on construction sites?
No, I didn't say that.
We have to recall that again, being in the United States without documents is a civil offense.
Ali,
it is not a felony.
He has to show undying loyalty because I didn't watch The Apprentice, but did Piers win? Did Piers win a season? Did he win? I'm guessing he did.
And so the reality is, if it was 10 million people, we have to ask ourselves, what is the pull? America has always run from the time that people who looked like me were enslaved on cheap labor, on free labor to start itself as an empire, and then on a constant pull of cheaper and cheaper labor. That is a pull that is pulling people over. And then, of course, there's the push of the destabilization in Central and South American countries. That is the push. That push-pull is a fact of life. And it was a fact of life when Donald Trump was president the first time.
But what's that got to do with how many come over the southern border illegally?
No, the difference is now, if you let's say where you end all undocumented migration to the United States, all that would do is put a burden on the pull part of it, because you have industries that desperately rely on farm labor, on construction labor.
But why shouldn't you have a system?
But
Joy, why
raising it to zero does nothing to change my life.
Joy, why shouldn't people?
But what it's done is
why shouldn't people? Let me just ask you, why shouldn't people do what I had to do when I wanted to live and work in America? I mean, just go through a proper process and get accepted to be allowed to come into the United States. That is how a normal, well-controlled border works.
I just love how Piers is saying, why can't people do what I do, as if he wasn't fucking rich, wasn't fucking known, didn't have money, versus people that's trying to just live with some dignity to make some money and will do, I won't say anything, but will do the bare minimum to try to survive in better conditions. Sorry that they want that. I'm sorry, Piers. Everybody doesn't have money to be able to just come to America. My dad came to America. My dad came to America in his 20s. He ain't rich, but he came to America. I asked him a while ago, years ago, How long did it take you to, once I saw this conversation, how long did it take you to be a citizen? He said it took him 8 years to be a citizen. And he's from Africa. He ain't from Europe. You know what I'm saying? He ain't from Asia. He's from Africa. It took my dad 8 years to become a citizen of the U.S. So miss me with this shit, because he's definitely not a Piers Morgan. So, Piers, I'm sorry to tell you, and this is not even coming from somebody that believes everybody that's white has privilege, but this is your privilege speaking. So, I'm sorry to tell you, you can't just do the thing that everybody that you did and just come in America the right way and just become a citizen or get a visa or whatever the fuck you're talking about. Some people just want to live respectably. They don't have to be a Piers Morgan, but they just want to live in decent conditions. And you just think it's just that sweet because you got a sweet deal. Bitch, that just pissed me off, man.
So what you seem to be suggesting is that because America's economy needs a lot of workers, we should simply have a system where anyone can come in. And if that's not your belief, then how would you regulate the southern border?
I'm going to say to you that if the policy were applied the same across the board, that would be one thing. It's not. Marco Rubio's grandfather didn't do it the right way. He overstayed an order of deportation, stayed anyway, and was allowed to remain in the country. Elon Musk's brother says, and Elon Musk disputes it, but Elon Musk's brother said they overstayed their student visa, started a business.
Thank you. I have somebody else in here that can attest. Allie, like, it took my grandpa applying for a sponsorship years to get approved, and he applied to work his butt off. That's what I'm saying. My dad been working his fucking ass off since he's been in this country, like no other. So it's just like, Piers, stop it. We need to fix our shit. It's not like it's your fault, or even though it's everybody's fault in Congress and the presidents. It's just this is an ongoing issue.
Been illegal for someone on a student visa. We're allowed to stay. They are white migrants, and somehow that was okay. What we're seeing is a selective enforcement of this outrage. If the person is brown, they need to be rounded up and put into quote unquote alligator Alcatraz, a concentration camp in Florida. If the person is white, we let them start a business and become Elon Musk. What's happening is that Stephen Miller has said he wants 3,000 people a day rounded up, and he has said he doesn't care where they have to get them. He wants ICE going into Home Depot. He wants them going on construction sites, going on to farms, and dragging brown people and into detention. They're putting people in private prisons that are unregulated by the federal government. We've heard stories of people eating rotten food, having to use
but you
the
still
same
haven't told me what you would do.
For the restroom. And so the reality is, what we have right now is we have a system of literal terrorism against brown migrants simply because Stephen Miller does not want them in the country.
As you know, they're not all brown, as you know.
Well, the vast majority are.
Well, but you haven't answered my question also. If you were running the southern border, if you were in charge, if you were the border czar, Chris, exactly. What would you do? Would you let them all in, or would you stop some of them coming in?
The first thing that I would do is to look at some of the actual legislation that's been put on the table before. You have a very small number of immigration judges who deal with people who are presenting themselves.
It is crazy too, Allison, because immigrants that do come over here to pursue the American dream and feel like they're in a decent spot, and it's not because you're the richest person in the country, but you just know that you're afforded more than where your home country is, maybe. It's just like they are the most patriotic. They care the most. They're politically informed. It's not that you have to run for office, but you want to stay informed. You're trying to make the best for yourself and the family. And these people are just so anti-immigrants, all just off rip, because they think that they want to turn America into Mexico. Why would they want to turn America into Mexico if they left Mexico to be in America? That doesn't even make fucking sense. These people are so stupid they can't even understand themselves.
Asylum, which, by the way, is perfectly legal. It is legal to present yourself for asylum, but there are scarcely any judges doing that work.
Chris,
multiple times, bipartisan, members of Congress, the House and Senate, tried to pass legislation that would increase the number of those judges. If you actually had enough people to adjudicate asylum cases at the border, it would make that easier. I've actually been to the southern border and looked at the process and looked at the previous version of detention that Donald Trump did in his first term. First of all, it was horrific, and it was abusive even then to children.
And when he was outraged by Barack Obama's deportation program, of over three.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And I think that Barack Obama made some compromises that I do not think were morally sound in order to try to lure Republicans into doing the immigration reform.
Do you know how many people he deported?
Since Marco Rubio joined the Gang of Eight.
Do you know how many people Barack Obama deported in 8 years?
I'm sure you're going to tell me.
Well, why don't you guess?
I don't know and don't care.
Well, hang on. You don't know and you don't care. You've just given me...
Because it's not the issue. You're trying to make the issue the southern border.
Joy. You've just given me... Joy.
Joy. The point is,
Joy.
Barack Obama was not dragging women and
let me finish. You've just...
nursing babies apart and taking...
Joy. You've just given me...
Can you stand this nigga? Piers thinks he's winning. Piers thinks this is a dub because... he wants to focus. Joy. He will not let her talk because nothing Joy has said matters about how many people got deported. She never said, like, he's deported 5 million. He's deported 5,000. She does not care about how many. The only thing Joy has spoke about is the manner of which Donald Trump has been going about these deportations. And Piers thinks he always has this fantastical dub of, do you know that how many people Barack Obama has deported during his presidency? Bro, it don't fucking matter. Because I'm not going to say completely, he tries to do it the right way. Trump has gone into this doing it the wrong way. Like from the jump, he went into it doing it the wrong way. The way that clearly most people say they didn't even want it to happen. And he just always pulls out this Obama shit as if people's issue is the number. The issue ain't the number. The issue is the manner. And you're just ignoring it.
I'm sure going to tell me it's your main issue.
You've just given me
it's not my main issue.
Look how he's talking about how she doesn't know it instead of just like, you won't even. It may be not useful as far as the programming to let her ramble. You could cut her off, but what you're saying isn't to like, let me explain or something like that. He just keeps trying to like condescend her. She doesn't know the number.
Is that what we're seeing?
I'm trying to finish my sentence. You've just given me a lengthy monologue
attacking
Donald Trump's aggressive deportation policy. And I've simply said to you, there was a Democrat, a black Democrat president.
Why are you bringing up him being black? Why are you pretending like that's the main issue? If Trump was black, I would hate him the same. Like, I don't know where this notion comes from that Trump is. If Trump was Trump but black, I would hate him the same. This idea that because Trump is white, everything he's doing is even worse. I don't give a fuck. I don't like Eric Adams, not in the slightest. He's black. I don't fucking like him. He's a bad person, in my opinion. He's not as egregious as Trump, but my point is, I don't give a fuck if you're a left-leaning, but you're black, so I agree with you. That has nothing to do with it. Obama's not perfect. I don't think we can name a president that's perfect. There's nobody that's a perfect human being. Every president has faults you can attribute to them. That's not the issue. Trump is actively going out of his way to make shit worse for every fucking body. Not just immigrants, not just Americans, not just black people. He's making shit worse for white people. They just don't understand it.
Policy. And I've simply said to you, there was a Democrat, a black Democrat president of the United States for 8 years. I'm simply asking, given that you're obviously all over every detail of the Trump deportation policy, and given you were on the airwaves in America on a daily basis through Obama's tenure, how many people did he deport in 8 years?
I do not know. You'll tell me. I'm sure.
Have a guess.
But it's probably more than 1 million people.
Why do you keep saying have a guess? She keeps telling you she don't know. Why do you keep saying have a guess? Why are you asking her to guess? She doesn't know. She does not know. She says she doesn't know. Stop asking her to guess.
I'm quite certain.
Have a guess.
I think each 2 million.
It was 3 million.
See, like, what the fuck? What did you gain from that? She didn't pretend like she knew. It's somebody as big as Joy Reid. For her to humble herself and say, I don't know how many people he deported. Why are you pressing her to guess? Stop. He wants to embarrass her because he probably thought she was going to be like 400,000 and it was 3 million and she said 2 and she was close. And it's like, your shit ain't finna hit the way that your shit ain't finna hit. I said didn't because I heard his tone, he probably expected her to say something like 100.
Okay, and your point.
He probably expected her to say something crazy that was unreasonable, but she didn't.
Do you not know? You'll tell me. I'm sure.
Have a guess.
Like, we get it, Piers. We get it. We got you. It's your number one. That's your statistic that we know you're always gonna come in handy.
Probably more than 1 million people. I'm quite certain because I think each 2 million.
It was 3 million.
Okay, and your point being
that shit didn't slap, bro. It didn't slap. I don't care. It didn't slap. Everybody knows this is your shit, and you're pretending as if everybody cares about the number of deportations when that's never been the issue. The issue has never been the number.
My point being, are you as shocked by that as you are claiming to be by Trump?
Nobody's shocked, you fuckhead. Bitch, you ain't finna put an ad right here.
More with it. Have you watched, bro?
Wait, what the fuck? Oh, I hit a button. That's my bad. I hit a button. Fuck.
It is not deportation.
Many of them were brown.
That are shocking. Wait a minute. Can I answer your question?
The majority were brown.
One moment. It is not deportation in and of itself that is what is shocking to people. There are two things that are shocking. Yes. Number one, well, I'll do three. One, it is not deportation to render someone to a third-party country they have no connection to.
I agree.
Rendering people to El Salvador is shocking.
Bro, stop, shut the fuck up and let her talk. Why you don't have to keep saying I agree. She heard you the first time. Say I agree. Shut the fuck up. He's trying to present himself as this moderate, listening, empathetic person that understands both sides. Shut the fuck up and let her talk, bro. I agree. That shit is annoying. I don't need you to say that every fucking time she speaks.
Third-party country they have no connection to.
I agree.
Rendering people to El Salvador is shocking.
And that's why he's come back.
That was not done by Biden.
That's why that guy's come back.
Done by George W. Bush. All right. So
why are you talking over her while she's trying to explain herself?
So that is shocking.
Yeah.
Number two, deporting people with deporting. Well, that's only one person. They deported more than 200
we're talking about. He's come back
to that gulag. Yes, they deported more than 200 people. 70% of whom CBS has determined had no criminal record.
But why
whatsoever.
are you changing the subject from Obama's deportation policy?
I'm telling you, the three things that are shocking are not deportation.
Bro, oh my God, bro. This motherfucker is just like, Piers, for you to always hate people talking over people, you have no reason to keep talking over her if you agree. If you agree so hard and so bad and so full-throatedly, why the fuck do you keep talking over her if you agree so much? This is an agreement for optics. You don't really fucking agree. Fuck. Oh my God. Let her talk. If you agree, I cannot fathom agreeing with somebody. When me and Bunny was talking and I was agreeing with her, I was just nodding my head. That's how, if you're on camera, that's how you show you agree. And if you're not on camera, you just say when you agree and you let them talk. And then maybe if you disagree, maybe you could try to interject without doing it in an abrasive or rude way. You can interject if you disagree with something later on. But when me and Bunny was talking and we was agreeing, I didn't keep saying, I agree. Oh my God.
But why are you changing the subject from Obama's deportation policy?
I'm telling you, the three things that are shocking are not deportations themselves. It's deporting people, number one, to third-party countries like the Sudan, where they have no ties whatsoever, simply for the cruelty of doing it, essentially paying third-party countries.
I asked you about your response to Obama. Obama deported more people than any president in American history.
You're just willfully not listening to what she's saying. Like, you're not even trying.
Piers, my family are immigrants. If there's a deportation process, at the end of that adjudication, you are deemed to be deportable and need to be deported.
But you're missing my point, Joy. Boy, I'm trying to politely ask you, do you condemn...
different from what we're seeing now.
Here's my point. In the interest of fairness, do you condemn Barack Obama's deportation policy, given that he deported more people, let me finish, more people than any American president in history in his 8 years?
What an absolutely disingenuous argument, Piers, because what people are
exactly because why the fuck are you talking about the numbers still when it's clear that's not the issue, and you're not listening to anything she said because she's never addressed the numbers being her issue.
No, I'm gonna explain it if you'll allow me.
You didn't even know how many he deported.
It don't fucking matter because that's not her problem. She doesn't have to know the number of people Barack Obama deported because the number is not the problem.
Because I just said that, first of all, I think it was a moral compromise that I disagree with vehemently.
A moral
Barack
compromise.
Obama,
And then to add insult to injury, she actually does disagree with some of the ways he went about it, which is consistent with her ideology, is that she doesn't like the way people are going about deportation. She never said, he's deporting a bunch of people. This number is ridiculous. And you keep talking about the number. That's not her issue. She said she sounds consistent. She's saying she disagrees morally with how Obama went about his deportations. And this is the same argument she's making about Trump, the way you're going about it.
made to try to lure Republicans who were never going to really come to the table for immigration reform. I disagree with what he did. But if there's a process for deportation, that's one thing. Okay. If you are rendering people with no process, if you are rendering them to third parties, and if you are kidnapping them off the street as if this is 1930s Germany or South Africa in the 1980s, that is what I find objectionable and I find fundamentally fascist and will stand by that every day. What Donald Trump is doing is a moral horror. And if you can't see that, I don't know what to tell you.
I hear you. All I tell you is that Obama deported a hell of a lot more people than Trump.
The issue. The issue
and most of them were brown. And last time I checked, Barack Obama isn't white. So it may not be a race thing.
Who was talking about anybody's skin color? What the who said anybody about the person that's deporting skin color? What the fuck is happening? What? Oh my God. When did she say the white man is deporting the black people? The black man never deported black. Like, when did she say anything of this sort?
Last time I tell you is that Obama deported a
horror.
I hear you.
And if you can't see that, I don't know what to tell you.
I hear you. All I tell you is that Obama deported a hell of a lot more people than Trump.
The issue. The issue
and most of them were brown. And last time I checked, Barack Obama isn't white. So it may not be a race thing.
And what does that have to do with Barack Obama being black? Now you're the one obsessed with race. You want to make this a racial argument. The argument is that the Obama administration,
you made it a racial
the Biden
argument.
Administration, because Donald Trump fixates
you said Trump
black
is
people,
deporting people based on their skin color.
Wait a minute. If Obama was deporting people based on their skin color, then it would be the same argument whether he's black or white. Same goes for Trump. She's saying that Trump is deporting people based on their skin color. She's not saying because he's white, it's because he's deporting people based on their skin color. She didn't say the white man is deporting them. And you're bringing up the fact that because Trump is white, you're blaming him. And because Obama's black, then he's deporting them. That's not the argument. The argument isn't Trump is white and deporting people that's non-white. The argument is the president is deporting non-white people. And a black president can do the exact same fucking thing. You fucking idiot. And I'm so torn between how successful Piers is to know if he does this type of shit on purpose or is he this fucking stupid for real.
Well, it is what he does. He plays racial politics as a matter of course.
Obama didn't deport people because of their race. He didn't pull people off the street with masked men, pulling them off the street based off their skin color. They were turning people away at the border. They were going through and deporting people that were illegally here for crimes for the most part. And there were people that probably overstayed their visas as well. Trump is just going after the people that overstayed their visas, who are just non-white, and then the criminals. That seems like the prioritization, because it's not even, I don't even know if it's, I'm not going to speak on my ass. But what I do recall is the percentage of people that's non-criminal is way too high. It's way too high. I believe it's over 30% of people being detained and deported that's non-criminals.
It's what his politics were all about. Okay. His politics are about removing as many non-white people clearly from the country as they can, 3,000 a day.
That's what Obama's policy was too.
The policy here.
That's what Obama's policy was too.
No, it was not.
As we sit here,
rendering of people, there was a process for deportation, and you know that it's materially different.
As we sit here, Obama deported more people pro rata per year than Trump has ever done.
How many did he render to a third party? How many did he render to a third party? Because what he's also doing.
That's important too. She said that too from the jump before you even brought up Obama. She don't like the fact that he's sending people to countries they have no affiliation to.
You're outraged by Trump.
75% CBS found were not criminals that were sent to. See, I was underselling it. If that's true, CBS found that 75% of people were not criminals that were sent to CCOT.
But you're not outraged by Obama.
I'm absolutely outraged by fascism.
Yeah, right, Chris. The main issue is the due process part. Like you're, and they're like, oh, we don't have time to process all these people. Get more fucking judges, which is what they tried to do in the bill, the fucking border bill. Get more fucking judges. Do legislation. That's what you get voted for. It's for legislation, not to do what the fuck you want with free reign.
And by snatching
but
people
Obama
off the
wasn't
streets,
a fascist
no
because
process,
he's not.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
I'm
because
outraged by
Obama's
it.
got brown skin. He's not.
Don't put it in the lounge because it's gonna be too much. Put it in the politics section.
Are fascist? Is that your policy?
Well, that's your simplistic, racialized way of looking at it.
It's yours about
you're
Trump.
Doing on the show.
It's yours about Trump.
It is. No,
let's move on. I want to move on. I don't want to spend the whole time talking about this.
Person that behaves the way he does, trying to take people's citizenship away, denaturalizing. That's Idi Amin behavior. There's a black fascist that you can compare it.
Okay. She don't give a fuck about race. She cares about the behavior, and that was great. I'm glad she added that. Idi Amin. It's about the behavior. It's not about who the fucking race is. And Piers, of course, isn't going to address it, right?
Let's move on to. I want to just play a clip of when you lost your job at MSNBC. Let's watch this.
My show had value, and that that what I was doing had value. And in the end, I try not to cry on TV. Whether it's talking about any of these issues, and yes, whether it's talking about Gaza. And the fact that we as the American people have a right to object, to little babies being bombed. And I am not sorry that I stood up for those things, because those things are of God. And you know, I'm a church girl too. And those are the things that I was taught were of God. And so I'm not sorry. I'm just proud of my show.
So look, you're perfectly entitled to be proud of your show. Many people enjoyed your show for many years. You know, a lot of people at NBC were briefing that the reason was declining ratings post the election, 47% decrease in your election, in ratings from pre-election. But you told Mark Lamont Hill on his show this.
After I said on my show that the reason Americans could relate to Ukrainians in a way that they didn't relate to Palestinians, that Ukrainians are white. And so watching white people get their schools bombed was, hit different. That hit our ratings. I mean, it definitely, we could see the loss of white viewers from that moment that I said that. So they were like, we don't like the name calling. And also I'm a black woman. So, I mean, I'm sure it makes him angrier, when I say things. Maybe because I am a global South person myself, I mean, as a black person, we have a different empathy toward other global South people when they are suffering. And so we're going to come at that story from a different angle and in a different way and with different kinds of empathies. And I think that's not always received very well in the news business.
Now, Joy, I mean, look, let's be honest. I don't think you were fired after all those years because of your skin color or because you're a black woman. I think you were fired because your show just got increasingly unpopular. It happens all the time in TV. That's why you got let go. Why play the race card?
First of all, I love the fact that your play the race card is your version of the race card. You literally are so fixated on trying to racialize conversations with me, Piers. I find it actually quite charming.
You racialize more conversations in your tenure at MSNBC.
It's just so funny when, again, y'all know me. I don't like racializing every conversation. But he doesn't understand the difference between, and I don't want to attribute it to him just because he's white, but he's not understanding the difference between bringing up race as playing a part in certain things versus like race baiting. Like I don't watch her enough, so I cannot speak to her show. But there's a world where her being black and saying what she says could have played a role in it being canceled, or it just could literally just be people moving away from the left and not watching her content, regardless if she was black or white, to being canceled. I don't know, so I can't say one way or another. But there's a world where both of those things could be true.
Any host in history.
All right, Piers. And the bottom line is you take an entire conversation that I had with Mark Lamont Hill and pick the bits that you can racialize.
Yeah, and I agree, Casey. In this convo, Piers has made things about race that ain't about race.
this is your shtick, and I get that this is your
You
shtick.
racialized everything, Joy. Come on.
I get it. I understand this is your shtick, Piers. And listen, game right now, game. I get this is
It's
your
not my
shtick.
shtick.
The bottom
It is your
shtick, and everyone knows that it is.
No, it's your
Piers, we
shtick.
People got
understand
more
what
with
it is.
it.
And it is so interesting to me that you
Colin,
yourself, as
trying to say that every time you this is what peers do. You bring on a black person, and simply because they address race at times in their content, you say that they racialize everything because they talk about race. And then you bring them on, and then you racialize things they may not have necessarily racialized, and put it into every fucking thing and say you racialize everything and bring up everything that may not even have nothing to do with race in their politics, which is her argument about Trump's behavior. You brought up Obama because thinking she would just suck him off and condemn Trump for the same behavior. You thought she was going to do that, which she would not. And you made it about race when it's about the behavior. You're the one you racializing everything, and it is your stick. Every time a black person is on, you try to make them cop to everything another black person do. I've noticed that, Piers. I cover you very extensively. You only bring up race heavily when you have on a black person and think they're just like Mark Lamont Hill. You be thinking, Obama, Mark Lamont Hill said, Obama bad. I don't give a fuck. I'm not finna defend Obama. You think every black person is just gonna defend a black person, you stupid fuck.
White European find that when people of color talk about race, that you believe is racializing conversations. But when people like you fixate on, well, Barack Obama was a black president, why don't you object to that? That is racializing a conversation about the former president of the United States. But you can't put, and I'm sure you find that charming and funny.
I find it hilarious because you're the one.
You're laughing because you don't even realize how she just exposed you. You think it's funny, like, you think that it's ironic that she's saying this when she hasn't brought up race in the context of black people should be treated different than white. She's brought up race in the context of Trump seems to have an agenda to get rid of people that are not white. And there's some merit to the argument, but you can't engage in that because I don't think you have the intellect to do so.
States, but you can't put you, and I'm sure you find that charming and funny.
I find it hilarious because you're the one. You're the one who said Donald Trump.
You and your friend Donald Trump.
You said Donald Trump is a white fascist.
He is. Well, I agree with Mark
Obama
Milley,
did the same thing.
Last time I checked, is
I'm not allowed
black.
to mention his skin color.
I agree with his former chief of staff, who last I checked was not black and said he's fascist. And Mark Milley said he's fascist to the core. Okay. So I happen to agree, and I know this is what it's important to you, with two very white gentlemen about Donald Trump's fascist tendencies. Okay. If that makes you sad and uncomfortable, I can't help you.
No, yes, it made me sad and uncomfortable. I think it makes you a little bit of a hypocrite, but that's different. Now, President Trump reacted to your departure by saying, low-life chairman of Comcast, Brian Roberts, the owner of ratings-challenged NBC and MSNBC, has finally gotten the nerve up to fire one of the least talented people in television, the mentally obnoxious racist Joy Reid, based on her ratings, which were virtually non-existent, should have been canned long ago, along with everyone else who works there. What's your response to that? Many of us carry around bulky, worn-out wallets that are uncomfortable and full of junk. The big question...
Rich wallet.
If you are, I mean, it's fascinating to me that you think it's important that I care what Donald Trump says about me. It's a badge of honor. If he dislikes me, then I think I'm doing something right. I have zero respect for Donald Trump, and therefore, if he feels the same way about me, then the feelings are quite mutual, and I'm very, very proud of that and happy with it.
Okay, I want to play a clip. This is you talking about you attacking parents. You spoke out about their concerns about gay and paedophilia pornography books being placed in school libraries.
The question I'm asking is, what is the expertise that you have and other Moms for Liberty advocates have to decide that a book, an award-winning book like All Boys Aren't Blue, isn't appropriate for students to read? What
a tragic story of a young man who's anally raped by his adult family member. So you have incest, rape, pedophilia. Joy, you said you'd let me answer.
Oh, that's a fact, Casey. Yeah, don't use Piers code.
I'm going to answer for you.
Use Abba and Preach code if they both sponsor it. It's petty as fuck, but hey, they put them on both their channels for a reason.
In what context is a strap-on dildo acceptable for public school? I mean, that's my question to you. Tell me what the context around the strap-on dildo or the rape of a minor child by a teacher.
Hold on a second.
No, we're talking about public school.
One moment.
All right.
I don't know anything about this book, but you let that woman talk more than Joy Why didn't you let Joy explain her position in that clip? It's just like this shit is so dishonest.
There's also a second clip. This is you talking about Republicans exploiting concerns.
Joy didn't even talk in that clip.
By minors who identify as transgender. And you said this is an old age tradition which Nazi Germany did. Let's take a look.
In fact, there are more kids who have been exposed to gun violence, estimated at 3 million, than there are transgender Americans of all ages in total. Targeting trans people isn't new. It is an age-old tradition, which Nazi Germany did with brutally violent ends in the 1930s.
Now, the confusing part of all...
Again, cutting shit off.
All this, Joy, is what you really think about the LGBTQ plus, whatever it now is, community, right? Because as you know...
It sounds like he didn't... For that second one, it sounds like there's no dispute on the facts of the matter. Are you going to argue that, or are you just going to say you're defending the LGBTQ community? Like, is that what this finna be? Are you finna just, like, scold her for defending LGBTQ people? Like, is that this line of attack?
When you started commentating about this, appearing to be a big ally, a lot of stuff emerged which came from posts that you had purportedly put up in a blog between 2007 and 2009, one of which said, most straight people cringe at the sight of two men kissing. Another said, I don't want to watch the two male characters in Brokeback Mountain. You were talking about having sex. Does that make me homophobic? Probably. You referred to the then Florida governor as Miss Charlie and featured the tag gay politicians. Now, you said at the time when all this emerged, I genuinely don't believe I wrote those hateful things because they're completely alien to me. I hired cybersecurity experts to see if somebody manipulated my words on my former blog. And the reality is they've not been able to prove it. Now you're not at MSNBC. Now you're on your own, doing your own thing, and you don't have to worry about repercussions and stuff. Are you prepared to finally come clean and just admit that was your blog and you did say those things?
You know, Piers, I might have known that you would use this opportunity and interview and that this was your purpose, right? This is your purpose. And that's fine. This is your show and you can do whatever you like. You know, I could sit here and go on and fight with you about your strange, weird obsession with Meghan Markle, but I won't do that because that would be rude. But what I will say is...
That was so detached from what's going on in Petty, which I feel like she felt so attacked she had to find something to bring up. But I feel like she could have attacked him just because everything he just said, he just accused her of a lot, which could be overwhelming. So she's probably pissed. And I can understand that she's probably pissed and tried to rebuttal in the best way she could. But the Meghan Markle thing just felt so detached from what was going on that she probably should have. It was probably hard to come up with something to say back to him, but that was so detached from what happened. But regardless, Piers sounds like he's like, all that shit he just said, it was like you could have just fucking separated a lot of that. That was a lot to have to respond to, and it'll be hard to coherently respond to all of that shit in one breath, especially with Piers. If you say something that debunks him or he doesn't like or understand, he's going to cut you off.
We can do that as well.
Sure.
But the point being that I was very open with my employer at the time about what happened with that old site, which I stopped writing in, before I even came back into the NBC family. And what I have not really talked about publicly, but what I can tell you is that I had a very legitimate reason for being concerned about it because I was also on the radio at that time. And the things that I was literally talking about on the radio were quite the opposite of the things that were in that site. That is the reason that we began investigating what was going on with that site. And there was also someone who I do not know, who I still do not know, who had login access to my site for years that we did not even discover because I hadn't looked at the site for years. I don't know who that is. I don't know why they had access to the site, but had I not been open about that, I would have been definitely fired or there would have been some repercussions. I was open with my company about that. I've been very open. Everyone who knows me knows about it. And so if you want to argue with me about an old blog site, that's fine. And I'll take responsibility.
If you did write it.
And hold on. And I'm willing to take responsibility for anything that was on that site.
Did you say
for you?
Did you say those things?
I'm not gonna lie. She's saying a lot of shit to not own up to what the fuck she said. She's saying a lot. I don't even know what the fuck this situation necessarily means, but it sounds like she said some homophobic shit on her own blog, and she's doing a lot of talking without sounding like she's owning up to whatever she said. That's what it sounds like.
Listen, what I'm going to say is very simply. What I'm going to say is very simply this, Piers.
You know you did.
The point that you're attempting to
make. You just spun me an absolute load of old flannel.
She don't want to address it. Yeah, Allie, I don't know nothing about this, but she sounds very evasive. It sounds very evasive. It sounds like she wrote some homophobic stuff on her blog, and he's saying, did you write it? Because I guess maybe it's not fully confirmed if she did, but she's being very evasive to answer. She's saying a lot of shit that it's just, she don't want to cop to it, and it sounds like she probably did, because she doesn't want to address, she's not answering this shit just outright.
The reason that you are trying to go here is that you're trying to defend.
I guess with her image, she can't be homophobic because how far left she leans, she can't be homophobic. But if she was homophobic on her blog and it got found out, she can't just outright admit to it.
And the idea that Moms for Liberty and these other organizations can take books that are not pornography, that are not pornography.
No, I'm just trying to see whether you like to hold people to account. And I'm just trying to ask you
myself to
questions
about
and you being held to account
for everything that was in that site, and I took responsibility for everything that was in that site, and I still take responsibility for everything that was in that site. I find anything that harms the LGBTQ community that was in that site repugnant. I apologize for it. I take full responsibility for it. But the point that I made in my conversation with the woman from Moms for Liberty is that they are making themselves the expert on books, which they are deeming pornographic by using a site called booklooks.com, looking for words in the book that make them uncomfortable, and then attempting to ban books by the hundreds.
Out of interest, but just to be clear,
And so I asked her, do you think
books? All right, do you think school children at school should have access to books in their library which involve strap-on dildos?
Again, you're taking a book that has multiple subjects, and you're taking this award-winning book and dumbing it down to that.
She don't want to answer. Yeah, she's not comfortable with whatever she sits on this situation. She's not comfortable. I don't know anything about that book. That sounds crazy for a child's book, but I don't know the context behind it. But that sounds insane.
Because you may feel uncomfortable. And the bottom line is, these books that were published by publishers who had an opportunity to say no, looked at these books. These are award-winning books. And I think parents should have the opportunity to opt their children out if they don't feel comfortable reading those books. But that children who are old enough and who are of age and can choose the books they want to read and may feel seen in a book that you might object to ought to have the opportunity to read that book. That shouldn't be your decision. It shouldn't be Moms for Liberty's decision. I think each parent can make the decision for their own children. And I don't think that woman from Moms for Liberty or her organization should make that decision for other people's children. People ought to make decisions for their own children. And by the way, one more thing I'll add is that in the state of Florida, parents can opt their children out of reading books that they don't want to read. And she could have done that like any other parent.
Have you watched Brokeback Mountain?
No.
Okay. I mean,
what is the point of that?
Well, because you said I don't want to watch the two male characters in Brokeback Mountain having sex.
Okay, so what does me watching Brokeback Mountain have to do with that book, whether or not it is pornographic?
No, nothing to do with the book.
That is a book that people can have the opportunity to read if they so choose.
No, I'm not talking about the book.
I do not understand how an organization can make a decision. It is not about the movie. It is about whether or not Moms for Liberty
I'm not talking about the book.
The organization who should make decisions for other people's children.
I'm not talking about the book.
Whether I watch the movie or not makes absolutely no difference.
I'm talking about you posting on your blog that you wouldn't watch Brokeback Mountain because you don't want to see two male characters having sex. Does that make me homophobic? Probably. Most straight people cringe at the sight of two men kissing. Your words, not mine, Joy.
The thing is, I'm not uncomfortable to openly. She won't admit it, but I'm not uncomfortable to admit that a lot of straight people are uncomfortable with seeing two men kiss. Like that's the truth. Like especially men aren't comfortable watching that. That doesn't make you homophobic. It's just stating something that's probably true. It's nothing wrong with admitting that a lot of men don't like to see straight men kiss. I mean, no, that oxymoron, but don't like to see men kiss. But that doesn't make you homophobic to state it. Now, if you're saying it as a way to say like they shouldn't exist, that's a different conversation. But as a straight man, I'll be like, yeah, I'm not the most comfortable seeing two men kiss, but I'm not saying they shouldn't exist. I don't cover my eyes. I don't say if there's a gay relationship in the show that I don't want to watch it. I don't give a fuck. I see things that are uncomfortable that's not homosexual all the time in film. Have y'all ever seen I Spit on Your Fucking Grave? I was very uncomfortable watching that movie, but it didn't make it not a good movie. It was still good, but you know what I'm saying? Like, and I'm not trying, that may sound bad because I Spit on Your Grave compared to a homosexual relationship is bad. But the point, what I'm saying is, you can feel uncomfortable watching things, but that doesn't mean it shouldn't exist, or you shouldn't allow yourself to be uncomfortable sometimes watching things. And now I'm to the point, and this is why I rally against this type of shit, because I was never that. I was that person. I was that guy that was like, why is these gay stuff in this? Everybody's a conspiracy. Like, I literally was the person that I go against the hardest, and that's why I go hard against it, because I know how stupid it was. You know what I'm saying? Like, the whole I was like, why? I think I was watching The Walking Dead, and when a gay relationship got introduced, I was like, fuck is this? Why are they doing all this shit? And then I realized, I'm like, why am I mad about this? These people exist. They're going to be in shows because they exist in real life. I've been watching straight people my whole life. Gay people exist. They're going to be in shit. Oh, all right. I guess this is what it is. I love the fucking, if anybody watches the Four Seasons, there's a gay couple in the Four Seasons, but the original Four Seasons didn't have a gay couple. They changed it, which I love this show. The Four Seasons is good. And there's a gay couple now instead of all heterosexual couples. It don't take away anything from the show. It just doesn't. The show is really funny. It's really good. Gay people exist. They have straight friends and they do shit. It's just not that deep. And it probably is because once I started dancing, and as a straight male dancer, you get exposed to a lot of non-straight dancers. And it's just like, these people just exist, bro. Like, get the fuck over it. It's okay. Nobody's going to do anything to you, bro.
Right.
And your point is?
That maybe that makes you a bit of a hypocrite when you're taking the position of being an ally for the LGBTQ community. And actually, the best way to handle it, I would argue, is just to say, you know what? Actually, I did write that at the time. They're not my views now. I've learned, I've evolved, I've moved on. Trying to pretend even now that you didn't write it is preposterous. And I think you know that.
The bottom line is what I've said, and I will say it again, is that I take full responsibility for everything that was on that site. I'm deeply apologetic for the things that were on that site that hurt people, and I take responsibility for it because it was my site. And that's the end of that. And my views, as you know, and as I've said on television, on air, are...
See, it sounds like she's halfway copping to what happened. It's like she don't want to really, it's like she typed it but don't want to say she typed it, but she's saying that I take responsibility for whatever was posted on my website. But that's not admitting to you doing. It sounds like you like, what was on my website I take responsibility for, which leaves open interpretation to somebody could have posted it that was not you. And I don't like that. You know,
quite different from the views that you just read, and that's the end of that.
That just doesn't sit well with me. You won't cop to it. You won't. We just went from somebody like Charlamagne that admit to completely fucking up, and now you're like, this was on your website, Joy. What happened? Did you post it? And she's like, I take full responsibility for what was on my website, even though, you know, I don't necessarily agree with these types of sentiments today. It's just like, bro, if you typed it, she can't do it because of her positions openly. But that just does not sit well with me, that you just cannot admit to the fact that you probably posted this, because you're not denying it. Like, you have not denied it, but you won't just full on say, yes, I put this up and I regret it. That's better than all this. Whatever was on my website, I'm responsible for. Like, come on, bro.
Okay. Let's just end with this. Not everyone was upset when you were fired. Plenty of those white conservative men that you like so much seem quite happy. Let's just take a look at this clip.
Joy Reid, probably the nastiest figure on MSN.
Yep, Elbert. It's not unique to Joy. Well, you're saying you don't know if it's just her, but I think a lot of people fall victim to, like, they want to be so open and put all their stances out, and they want to say shit, and it's just like, you don't have to say everything you feel, and you need to, the shit that you know that you hold is controversial. If you're going to be a talking head, you need to know how to word your most controversial takes.
NBC. The most left, the most vicious against conservatives and white people and men and all the rest. She has just been canned, fired, kicked to the side of the road. Her show is over. This saddens me a little bit because I did not yet have the opportunity to go on it. I am celebrating that there is no longer a market for her disgusting product. That's what I'm genuinely happy about. There has been a major shift. Her show, and shows like her show no longer have value. And that's not just because of Joy Reid's favorite villains, you know, the evil white man or the Christians or the conservatives. It's because, like, no one watches her show.
So, Joy, I've actually got Michael Knowles waiting in the wings.
Great.
Is there anything you'd like to say to him?
No.
What did you make of his critique of your show?
Well, I mean, the reality is that obviously people watched the show, and obviously that's the reason that the show was on for 4.5, nearly 5 years. So if he didn't like the show, I guess, sorry you didn't enjoy it, but I really am not.
He's a fucking conservative. Of course he didn't like her show.
That interested in his views on it.
Like, why would you ask, like, an atheist why they don't like a religious show? Like, can you please make that make sense, Piers? Why do you think she cares about somebody that is completely opposed to everything she believes in to like her show? Like, if the Daily Wire went under today, I might make a video, but it wouldn't be like, yay, the Daily Wire is canceled because I disagree. It would be like, my video would be what led to them failing. And Michael Knowles is just celebrating that a show that's left is like failing. It's like, of course he doesn't care, but like the celebratory shit is weird. That's weird. I'm not celebrating. And I'm not saying it's not because now I'll celebrate something. I guess bad is subjective in this sense because I completely disagree. But I mean, if Ben Shapiro's show gets canceled, if whatever, you know, any of this shit on the right, I'm not celebrating for the sake of I disagree. It's like, let's talk. I care about what happened. I care about that. I care more about why something got canceled. I care about why Joy Reid got, and I think I said early in this video, in this stream, why I think that it got canceled. I think people, Fox News is the most popular news station in America. I think that people were disillusioned by the left's rhetoric. I think it's not ideal in this political climate anymore. It's not because she's necessarily wrong, you know, not necessarily. Now, I don't watch Joy Reid, but a lot of people say she's extreme, which can turn people off. So,
okay, well, we've got Michael there. Michael, anything you want to say to Joy?
Yes, wonderful to be here.
He said he got the ops waiting in the cut. Then he got Nina Turner like.
For Joy, very nice to meet you. And I guess I would agree with Joy's take. People watched the show in the past tense, and now there's no longer a market for that absolutely vile content. And I think that's good for the culture broadly.
Vile content is crazy coming from a conservative. Y'all literally spew hate day in and day out. To say Joy Reid is vile.
And now we can all chat on Piers' show.
Joy?
The reality is, Michael, the content that you and Piers like to trade in is
she was caught so off guard. Do y'all see how she was all the way to the right? She was sitting so lax, and then she had to straighten up when she saw she was on.
Past tense, and now there's no longer a market for that absolutely vile content, and I think that's good for the culture broadly. And now we can all chat on Piers' show.
Off guard.
Joy?
The reality is, Michael, the content that you and Piers like to trade in is grievance. And the grievance that white Americans have, that they have to deal with
I'm not American.
diversity, that they have to deal with. You just said you have a whole lot of Americans have years like to trade in, is grievance. And the grievance that white Americans have, that they have to deal with
I'm not American.
diversity, that they have to deal with. You just said you have a whole lot of love America. And by the way, white grievance is very good for your bottom lines. It's very good for your bank accounts. And so having me here to be able to continue to to traffic in that is your shtick.
Albert, I wouldn't be sad. I would be happy if Ben Shapiro's show got canceled. I would be, but I don't think if I made a video, it wouldn't be that. That's what I'm saying. And I don't even know if Michael Knowles necessarily did that, but my video addressing it wouldn't be like, yay. It would just be like, let's look at chronologically what led to Ben Shapiro's show being canceled. That's what I'm saying. Internally, I'm like, Fuck that nigga, yeah.
That is what you do. That's what you do, Piers. And so it's great. And I'm sure you find it delightful and fun to say it. But the reality is, Piers, that is what you all traffic in.
I have to correct you.
Well, first of all, I'm not a white American. I think as my accent may reveal.
Well, I know that you're European.
And I'm British. My only grievances are
secondly, I don't think anyone. Michael, I will let you respond, but I don't think any host in the history of cable news has waged more grievance than Joy Reid. So the idea that you're now hectoring us about feeling aggrieved about things, you spent years being aggrieved about absolutely everything.
Excuse me, but your favorite president, the president who you completely support, is nothing but
my
grievance.
favorite president was Abraham Lincoln.
Was grievance. His entire campaign was grievance. Well, your former boss on the
I'm not Donald
whatever
Trump.
You want to call him, your friend. The bottom line is that Donald Trump's entire campaign was about grievance. It was about white America feeling they'd lost their country and they need to take it back. It was about white America feeling that diversity was a threat to their children being able to go to Harvard. Their
and you know what, Joy? In the end,
diversity and that is the reason that you all glom onto him and use him to further your own agenda.
In the end, most Americans, as you know, most Americans, having voted for him in 2016, and after Trump spent 4 years in the wilderness, and we watched the Democrats run the United States of America, people took a look at that in America, and then they voted for Trump second time round in bigger numbers, including a record number of Latinos, who last time I checked were not white. Anyway, Joy Reid, I'm going to leave it with you. Thank you for coming on Uncensored. Next time, I'm sure we can move on from the stuff we've talked about today and have a more current debate, perhaps, about other issues. But I appreciate you coming on and facing the music, and it's good to see you. Thank you very much. Well, let me come. I've got Michael and Nina Turner. Nina, you were, well, fair to say, looking quite aggressive.
Okay. All right. I'm not going to sit through that. Yeah.